The shield was a long-term plan which began under the Bush administration, nominally to target Iran. The assets are positioned in place far outside the range of Iran's best missiles, which led to Russian complaints that they are the real target. Though the U.S. denied this publicly for years, during the activation of the system, they were talking it up as a show of force against Russia. The transfer of control to NATO came at the behest of several European members, particularly France, who objected to the idea of the U.S. retaining full control over such a controversial and Europe-centric system. Indeed, some nations appeared to be concerned that the U.S. retaining the shield would be more likely to alienate Russia and saw the transfer as a compromise, putting the system under alliance control and meaning European nations with a lot more to lose in a further escalation with Russia would have more to say over the shield use. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports 3 Americans were among 7 people gored by bulls Friday during Spain's San Fermin festival in Pamplona. After a somewhat calm first running on Thursday, the second running saw a more chaotic scene, with bulls charging after runners moments after the event began. The run lasted nearly 6 minutes, about double the usual time. Among the Americans injured were a 23-year-old who was gored in the left leg, a 46-year-old who was injured in the groin, and another 46-year-old who was gored in the left armpit. A Spaniard and a man from South Africa were in serious condition. Event organizers said the run was crazy and the most dangerous since 2007. 5 people were injured on the first day of the 9-day event, but none were gored. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a U.S. military veteran of the Afghan war who said he wanted to kill white people apparently acted alone in a sniper attack that killed 5 police officers at a protest in Dallas, decrying police shootings of minorities. 7 other police officers and 2 civilians were wounded in the ambush in downtown Dallas on Thursday night. Police killed the gunman, identified by authorities as 25-year-old Micah Johnson, with a bomb-carrying robot that cornered him in a parking garage, ending an hours-long standoff. Dallas police said in a report on Friday a search of Johnson's home in the nearby suburb of Mesquite found bomb-making materials, ballistic vests, rifles, ammunition, and a personal journal of combat tactics. Police said Johnson had no previous criminal history. On Thursday night, the sound of gunfire sent a panicked crowd of hundreds of protesters screaming and running for their lives near the end of the otherwise peaceful march to protest police killings of men in Minnesota and Louisiana. Police officers patrolling the Dallas demonstration at the time believed they were under attack by several gunmen. By late afternoon on Friday, however, investigators had concluded that Johnson, armed with a rifle, was the lone gunman. 3 other people were detained by police, but authorities have not publicly linked them to the shooting. Still, officials said they were looking for evidence of any possible co-conspirators. A man in Tennessee opened fire on a highway, killing a woman and grazing a police officer with a bullet on Thursday because he was troubled by incidents involving black people and law enforcement. Authorities said on Friday police officers were also wounded in shootings in Missouri and Georgia. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Hailing it as the industry's most innovative product to date, global cosmetics brand Maybelline released its long-awaited Ideal Woman Rubber Mask this week, a thick latex facial covering worn over the head in lieu of makeup.
By simply yanking it over your face, you can instantly achieve a fresh look that conforms to Western ideals of beauty. Essentially, you can just roll out of bed, stretch the latex urethane rubber beauty mask over your natural face, and boom, you're ready to start your day. Forget concealer, powder, blush, or mascara. Now you can achieve a look that adheres to the the conventional standard of feminine perfection in seconds.
It's incredible. You immediately see the difference. The very first time I tried it on, my pores were minimized, my skin tone was more even, and all of the idiosyncratic little wrinkles, physical imperfections, and tiny irregularities that make my face unique were erased.
I don't spend a lot of time on makeup anyway, but now all I need to do is yank this thing over my head, and that's it. I'm conventionally attractive. I mean, this gives me so much more time to find an outfit that makes my body look thin and socially acceptable.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. I'll give you the toll-free number, Skype username as well. With you in studio, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Don't forget, you can join us online anytime you want. Just head over to freetalklive.com, get interactive on our front page there, where you can actually create the content that you see. It's a Reddit-based system, so it's totally free to submit whatever link to hopefully an interesting story or outrageous YouTube video, maybe something funny, something you think our listeners would appreciate. You submit it there at freetalklive.com. Other listeners can then vote on it, decide whether they like or dislike, and the most liked will make it up to the top of the website. So you get to take control of the airwaves and the website here on Free Talk Live. There's still obviously a lot of people who are talking and upset over the raft of shootings that happened this week, not just by the police, but also of the police. We did discuss it last night. There's an interesting wrinkle that has developed here in all of this. For those that don't know, there were at least a couple of well-publicized police shootings this week where that then resulted in, meaning that police were shooting people. One man who apparently was just trying to get his license out and had a concealed weapons permit, and the cop just got afraid for his life or whatever and shot the dude to death. And I guess in front of a little girl and his girlfriend. But then after that, there were some people who were pretty upset. I guess they went out and they shot some cops, apparently.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
Several cops in Dallas were shot to death. Other cops in other cities have been shot at or shot. Don't know if they actually died. I don't think they did. Then there were protests that erupted in various cities last night. Atlanta, Baton Rouge were at least two places that I saw headlines that these were going on. I suspect they were going on in a variety of cities, but they were making headlines. RT.com had the story about Atlanta where protesters actually shut down Interstate 75, which is no easy task to shut down Interstate 75.
It is it's about as big as an interstate gets.
Yeah, they blocked off northbound lanes on Interstate 80 apparently as well there, and I imagine that it ended in some level of violence, but I didn't follow the ending of it closely. So there's been a lot of news about this, and you're certainly welcome to share your thoughts just in general about the police state, the violent response to it, and that was sort of where we focused last night was, is violence the appropriate response to violence? And of course, well, we're in favor of peace, and I don't believe that you can achieve long-lasting peace through violent means. You may be able to, make a statement, you may be able to take somebody out or whatever who you think's a problem, but ultimately, as one of our former officer callers called in and pointed out last night, if you see more police being killed, that's not going to dissuade people from being cops. It will likely mean that the most violent, dangerous people will sign up to become police from that point forward.
Who are itching for a fight, and that doesn't seem like what we're looking for, right?
Exactly. And also, of course, they're going to have to start paying more in order to recruit police, likely, because it is getting harder for them to find police. But odds are good it's getting harder for them to find good police. It won't be as hard to find the police that you lower your standards for in order to get, because that's something else they're going to have to do, lower their standards and increase the amount of money being paid. So it's always going to cost the taxpayers more. It's going to give the police the excuse to armor up, to get more Bearcats, more armor, more MRAP vehicles, whatever it is that they feel they need, the new toys, they feel they need drones, bomb delivering devices. Did you hear about this, Mark?
Sure, they killed the guy with a robot that blows up.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's a little weird.
Well, no, what it was a robot carrying a bomb. So guess what? That same robot that they used to defuse bombs or, to check on alleged bombs, because it can be blown up, it can survive that or whatever, or it's not a human being, That's the same robot, I believe, is my understanding, seeing pictures online, the same robot that they used to deliver a bomb to take the suspect out. So that's kind of scary, and it's also apparently the first time anything like that has ever happened in the United States.
Apparently they were ready for it. They were prepared for something like that.
So very disturbing stuff here. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Another question is, what do you do about this? What's a solution? And there aren't a lot of good ones. There really the choices here as far as where do you go to demilitarize the police, where do you go to get to where we want to see happen? How does that work? Well, I suggested people who love liberty move to New Hampshire, but as Daryl pointed out, that doesn't help the rest of the people. Everybody else who's dealing with the police state, what do they do?
Right, and I don't obviously nobody's happy about these deaths, all of them. But I kind of feel like I stand with, I stand with, this group, or I stand with that group. Well, I don't stand with a group. I stand with what's right. And if you have human beings, you have mistakes. You have flawed individuals. And that's one of the difficulties here is that police have made mistakes and up to this point. And I don't have, in many cases, I have no idea what, Black Lives Matter folks even want. I mean, shutting down interstates and stuff like that, it doesn't seem like a particularly good system. And what the messaging often gets confused because there's so many different people wanting so many different things. So,
I've got what Barack Obama wants. I've got what he wants.
Yeah, I know what he wants.
Let me share what he wants here from Breitbart's report filed today. President Barack Obama is harnessing the increasing attacks on police in Dallas and the periodic shootings of people stressed by cops to push his agenda to federalize state and local police forces. I want to start moving on constructive actions, he says, that are actually going to make a difference. All right, let's hear it, Barack Obama. I'd really want to hear what's going to make a difference here, because so far nothing has made a difference. The police continue to get away with murder. He says those actions would be based on recommendations of the panel that he picked after the 2014 street riots in Ferguson, Missouri. The panel offered, quote, practical, concrete solutions that can reduce, if not eliminate, the problems of racial bias. See,
well, thank God we're going to eliminate them.
See, he doesn't even... That's not the problem. That's not the problem. That's what some people are saying the problem is. But I'm sorry, I don't want to see cops killing people equally. I want to see cops stopping killing innocent people. Stop the madness, the war on drugs, this insane war on terror that drives people to suspect their neighbors. Stop all of this. That's what, those things, the war on drugs, the war on terror, are two of the major factors driving the police to militarization. Plus, of course, the federal government offering all kinds of grants towards that.
The war on terror makes sense if you're going to have a military in 130 nations around the world. First, you have to solve that problem too.
But it's not racial bias. If they start killing more white people, that shouldn't make anyone happy. If they start killing more Asians, that shouldn't make people feel like, well, now finally we've got equality. The problem is the police power. The problem is the police wielding their power over innocent people and killing innocent people. It doesn't matter to me what the color of their skin is. So Barack Obama's trying to solve the wrong problem here, but nonetheless, he's got an idea. Let me continue. The dramatic shootings are an opportunity to push that agenda, said Obama. Quote, if my voice has been true and positive, my hope would be that the panel surfaces problems, it frames them, it allows us to wrestle with these issues and try to come up with practical solutions. He began touting the panel's recommendations in March of 2015. There's some report that is entitled The President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. The report urges the federal government to federalize police training and practices.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Okay, and here's how they're going to do it. Via the use of federal lawsuits, grants, and threats to cut federal aid. So far, Obama's deputies have cajoled and sued more than 30 police jurisdictions to adopt federal rules in a slow-motion creation of a national police system.
So everybody's going to get to keep their individual uniforms. It's just that they're going to be homogenized, kind of like the Department of Education did. The Department of Education, all the buildings stayed the same. They were still named after whomever they were named after. All the teachers remained the same. It's just that these mandates were handed down.
And 6% of the funding.
Yeah, and a tiny bit of funding.
For education. So all kinds of rules, a tiny bit of funding. This is going to be a major point of opportunity for people who support the idea of nullification. If you support nullification, this is something to stand in the way of. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll take your calls and thoughts on federalizing the police.
Federalization worked so well for the TSA.
This is Free Talk Live.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The police state has resulted in people shooting the police. And it's only, people shouldn't be surprised by what has happened here with several cops killed in Dallas and other cops shot elsewhere within the last 48 to 72 hours. People shouldn't be surprised by this. It's just the natural response to humans who've been pushed too far is that they will lash out in violence. I don't support violence. I don't think that's the right answer. But at the same time, I understand why people are angry. I understand why they feel cornered, frustrated, feeling hopeless. That can always lead to, those feelings can lead to some irrational choices. We'll continue here with your calls and thoughts. But first, Mark, you're going to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm going to Freedom Fest. We're leaving on Wednesday. It's Freedom Fest is the biggest event in the world where liberty-oriented people congregate. They've got Rand Paul, Gary Johnson, the Libertarian Party presidential nominee. This year they're also going to have, of course, Steve Forbes always shows up. Andrew Napolitano, the Fox commentator known as the Judge. Doug Casey. John Mackey from Whole Foods. It's going to be a great event. It's July. Yep, he's great. He's a great speaker. I heard him last year. He debated Peter Thiel on, I think it was basically, monopolies. I thought it was parsing terms, frankly, but either way, it was nice to hear them both speak and be in the same room. You can get your tickets and come hang out with me. Just go to freedomfest.com. If you want a nice steep discount, use coupon code FTL. Now, FTL has to be capitalized if you're going to get the discount. It's freedomfest.com. It's in Las Vegas at the it was the Hollywood got it. Planet Hollywood. That's what it's called. In Vegas, on the Strip, July the 13th through the 16th, freedomfest.com.
All right, let's go to the phones, to the fun. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Barack Obama pledging or demanding or whatever you want to call it. He's promising to federalize the police. They are planning to use lawsuits, grants, as well as threats to cut federal aid to get local police departments to fall in line and do their training via federal standards, and who knows what other requirements they'll lay down on them. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. To start out, David is in Keene, New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Thank you. This is my solution. I'm calling to all cops everywhere in Keene, Brian Costa, whatever other names they are, I forget.
It doesn't matter what their names are. Go ahead.
Sure it does, because I want to single them out and ask them specifically. Leave your gun in the car. Leave your gun at the station. I don't know if it's a rule to go out and you have to have your gun, but if it is a rule to do that, break it, walk around without being armed, and just do that.
That's an interesting proposal. I mean, there are cops in Great Britain who do not carry guns. The common street bobbies, as I understand it, do not carry guns. So obviously it's something that they could do. Thanks for the call, David. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I can't imagine if I were a police officer that I would choose to leave my gun behind, especially if all the other cops are carrying theirs, right? And you're going to be dealing with people who have guns. It's the when you pull them, I guess there's so many options that police officers have. In this Alton case, here, if they would have used a taser or something, it would have still been inappropriate, but he'd be alive.
Likely. Some people still die after they get tased.
Now, there was the situation out where the BART cop in San Francisco pulled his gun, I guess claimed that he thought it was his taser, and then shot the guy straight in the back. Why you would why you would tase a handcuffed man who's lying in front of you is beyond me. But
and then go confiscate the cameras from people standing around.
Well, certainly there was that, and that was done in these most recent cases too. The attempts to erase video and that sort of thing. Sure, nobody wants evidence when they commit a crime.
Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. Michael is on the line in Lexington, South Carolina, listening to WQXL. Hey, Michael.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Welcome, sir. You're on the air.
When you federalize the police, you're looking at nothing more, and just use an analogy, but the Nazi SS, it may not be as extreme, but when you federalize the police, and the government has full control over everything. What are you going to do?
Well, so I'm wondering if we're going to toss out terms like Nazi, does that make the federal marshals and the FBI, are they Nazis? I mean, I just don't understand exactly.
No, but they have limited jurisdiction. They can't just go around and pull people over. When you set it up where you have one police force, that's the national police force, that is now running everything. Your local police, your FBI, your marshals, that is. Why don't you just have the military come out and do it? Because that's the exact same thing.
Well,
I mean, it's not like...
Don't give them any ideas.
I guess
it's already what I think what their end game is, unfortunately, might be. And I just don't want to see that. I mean,
I think you're right.
I want to be able to keep our civil liberties. And every time they take one of these steps and we go, well, it's not so bad. It's just this. It snowballs into something else.
Sure does.
It's only a matter of time until we are without any freedom.
Well, the federal government seems to have no concern about the Bill of Rights, specifically the 10th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. There's rules by which they operate, and the 10th Amendment says very clearly powers not...
Rules by which they operate.
Well, okay, there are rules written down by which they are supposed to operate.
Yeah, okay,
How's
there
that?
You go.
Powers not delegated or to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it.
You having trouble reading there, bro?
I can't. The printing's so small. It's just
got
old.
glasses on. You can't
I know.
read it.
I need bifocals.
You want me to read Amendment
Please,
10 here?
if you will.
To the United States Constitution. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. So what was the point you were trying to make?
Well, the point is that it's clear that the Constitution doesn't say anything about policing. There is no policing power for the federal government mentioned in the Constitution. If there is a policing power, it would belong to the executive branch, no doubt, but it would only be for the things that are laid out in the Constitution. Treason, interstate commerce, printing money.
Which they're trying to do away with the Constitution.
No,
they've done it. Yeah. It's already gone.
I'm pretty sure there's nothing left.
Yeah, I mean, they've just decimated the Bill of Rights. Michael,
but unfortunately, everyone that's saying, "Oh, well, let's get rid of the Second Amendment. Let's get rid of this amendment," they forget you get the 10th, the 13th Amendment. That they're all saying, "Oh, well, we can get rid of the second. We can get rid of this." Did they forget about that?
Now, which amendment? The 13th?
Yeah.
And which one is that?
Slavery. Go ahead.
These are the same people, the Black Lives Matters people, that are saying, get rid of the guns, take away this, take away that, give to us. They're forgetting there are key amendments that support those, that protect even that amendment, your First Amendment. When you lose the second, when you lose the first, when you start taking away these amendments and you start throwing away the Constitution, it can become a
They're not
slippery
starting
slope.
those things. They've already gotten rid of those amendments and thrown away the Constitution. It just still exists for them to point to every now and then to pretend like it matters. Thanks, Michael, for your call. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us on the radio here live Saturday edition. This is Free Talk Live.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Teens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with agoristhosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST, hosting.com.
Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
Live Saturday edition of the program. We're talking about the police state and people's violent responses to it. Over the last 48 or 72 hours, there have been some police shootings, meaning people shooting the police. Usually it's the police shooting people. And I don't think that violence is the right answer. The federal government believes that more federalization is going to help, not with police shootings, but with racial bias. So they're not saying – Barack Obama isn't saying that federal control is going to reduce police shootings. He's just saying that it'll help with racial bias. So what it's going to do is, of course, put more federal controls over local police departments. It will federalize all the training, and who knows what other stuff they'll come up with, federal mandates, in return for grants, in return for they're also talking about threatening lawsuits against police departments. So they're really going to pull out all the big guns here, it sounds like.
Yeah, you're going to play ball or you're going to be in big trouble is what it comes down to.
It sounds pretty scary.
I get the impression they've been doing this already.
So let's go to your calls and thoughts. Eddie is on the line in Albuquerque listening to Kiva. Hello, Eddie.
Hey, Ian. Thanks for taking my call. Real quick, the Dallas Police Department is on lockdown, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that and whether or not there's any validity to this purge that's being discussed.
Now, when you say they're on lockdown, what do you mean?
Well, just about half an hour ago, some anonymous threats, President Barack Obama, I guess, was in Dallas issues, 11 a.m. this morning. By 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, they were receiving anonymous threats into the Dallas Police Department, and now the entire police department and the headquarters is on lockdown, and they have all their SWAT gear on. So, in the continued kind of barrage on the police departments, and I understand where you guys are all with regards to the police, but I'd like to get your thoughts on this purge. I mean, should other cities be aware of this? Should other cities be worried this evening? I mean, I can tell you here from Albuquerque, we're controlled by the Department of Justice and et cetera, and, I met with the head of the police union for my show, and I was doing it, and I can tell you this, I'm worried about the police, and if we're worried about the police, talk about no protection at all. That's really the way that I feel. So just your thoughts on the purge. If Mark is kind of journeyed into those circles, love to hear any of your thoughts or any of your callers' thoughts tonight.
I want to know what the purge is. I'm not familiar with the purge.
From what I understand, are you familiar with the movie, Mark?
I've heard of the movie, and it's supposed to be sort of, I've just heard people say it.
Yeah, it's like this cleansing of basically a lawlessness, complete and total anarchy. Yep. You can basically kill, murder, do whatever you want, and that's the idea. I'm not sure what kind of direction it's taken, and I don't know if this is just a nasty internet rumor or if this is something that we should distinctly be aware of. So I don't want to get anybody up on the wrong tangent, but I'm worried about this.
So first of all, I don't think that people should worry about the police. They are well armed. They've got all kinds of tanks and armor and machine guns or whatever. If there's any kind of anarchy or lack of rules out there, it is applying to the police. The police are the people who do not have any actual rules. They pretend to have rules, but ultimately they can get away with murdering innocent, peaceful people, and they do it time and time again.
Well, I think they have rules. I think their rules are applied differently to them than they are to us, but they've got rules. I mean, they're not, if one of them goes bananas and, does whatever he wants, at some point or another, the others will shoot him. But there are, the rules are just appear to be different. If you walked up to some guy who's, in his car and shot him 4 times, then on video, you wouldn't be going home that evening.
Right. So, I'm not so worried about the police, and I also don't believe the police are what are keeping us safe. I know that that's the narrative the police would like to tell you because they want to protect their jobs. But ultimately, the real safety comes from being around other peaceful people who are armed and ready to defend their fellow man and neighbor.
I entirely agree with that.
Yeah, in fact,
I agree with you. First responders are the concealed carry people or even the open carry people.
Absolutely. And if you want a really good example of this, it was really interesting when Hurricane Katrina struck. Obviously, it was a tragic thing for a lot of people and their property. But what happened was the government demanded the people of New Orleans and the surrounding areas evacuate. Well, when people evacuated, you didn't have the average person around to put a stop to looters, to put a stop to marauders going through people's homes and destroying things or whatever, because the police couldn't stop those people. The police, there's not enough of them to stop those people if it becomes a purge or whatever. So, I don't think there's going to be a purge in New Hampshire. We got average people with guns everywhere here. So, if somebody tries a purge here, they're not going to make it past 2 houses before they find somebody who's going to blast them. So ultimately, it's not really the police that I think that we should be turning to here. And in fact, if you turn to the police and they don't show up, they're not even held liable for it. There's no obligation for them to provide you with protection. That doesn't mean they won't. Some of them, I think, are good guys. I've met a lot of them. And I think they got into it for the right reasons. But ultimately,
incentives
they're not
count.
there.
The incentives matter, and the United States Supreme Court has ruled that there is no responsibility for the police department to protect you. And so that affects the level of protection you're going to get from an organization that you're forced to fund and is not obliged to protect you.
Hey, Eddie, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it, and we'll let some other folks jump in here with their thoughts. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to Dennis. He's in Indiana listening to WIBC FM. Hey, Dennis.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, listen, I just want to say, no matter what, I'm pro-police. I think, our country, I was hearing you guys talking about police don't need to carry guns and so forth, but for
we didn't say that. Caller said that.
Okay, but they need to. I mean, I just can't believe people would say that, but they live in the same world I live in. I live in small town Indiana. I mean, it's not safe. I mean, people look everywhere. Whether you're in a gas station, everybody's looking around, see if there's whatever. And it's not a safe world. The world has gotten a lot non-safer over the last 20, 30 years for whatever reasons.
Is that true?
But
Mark, didn't you tell us on the air recently that crime statistics show less violent crime?
Violent crime's at an all-time low.
So things are safer by that viewpoint.
Yeah, it's just the news. Well, that's what you're getting.
I think people are leery of drugs and that kind of things. But
drugs aren't unsafe.
Don't shoot
by nature.
Drugs.
Yeah, I mean, drugs just sit there. They don't actually, without a person to push the drugs or inject the drugs aren't the problem. And most people that do drugs are completely peaceful. They're your neighbors, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your coworkers. They're responsible drug users. So no, they're not putting anyone in any real danger besides the drug addicts who are stealing things and breaking into cars. But drug addicts wouldn't have to do those sorts of things if the drugs were actually legal and they could go down to the corner store and buy what they need cheap.
Prices are driven up, but I'm interested in Colorado and seeing what happens in Colorado if marijuana prices actually do go down very, very low. And at this point, we haven't seen incredibly low marijuana prices, and I'm interested in why that is. I mean, it's just a plant that dry out.
Well, one thing people need to understand, throughout the United States in one day, there's 1 million police officers throughout the United States. They might do 100,000 contacts, meaning pulling somebody over, coming in contact with somebody who's
I hope they do more than that. Well, if there's 1 million cops out there, they should do more than 100,000 contacts.
Well, I'm just saying across the United States in one day. I'm just saying, and I mean, you can't tell by that video. I couldn't tell a good judgment on a video who was right, who's wrong. All I'm saying is we cast judgment on something that we see that we don't know the whole story of. All I'm saying is the police, these people who don't think they need to carry guns or think they're bad, they need to ride with a police officer for a night, 2 nights.
Actually, I have done that. I've done a police ride-along before, and it was really interesting. If you want to see me in a police ride-along, just Google Keen Police Ride-Along on YouTube. Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it. That's funny. I just used Google for the verb search. Search for Keen Police Ride-Along on YouTube or Google it, and it'll come up that way, too.
It's true.
855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
At Van Dyke Mortgage, we would like to thank our military veterans. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. For your service to our country, the Veterans Administration or VA loans are available for active, non-active, and retired veterans who meet the established requirements to assist in buying or refinancing a home loan. The most notable features and benefits for those who qualify are 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance, a variety of terms or loan types, reduced costs for disabled veterans, and no seller prepayment penalty. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted mortgage advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
This week, researchers released a comprehensive 5-year study linking heavy drinking during pregnancy with attending a concert by Detroit-based rap rocker Kid Rock. The study found that women who had consumed alcohol while pregnant were much more likely to be wearing leather halter tops and making devil horn hand gestures during encores of All Summer Long and Ba with the Ba than those who did not.
Drinking 3 or more alcoholic beverages in less than an hour was highly correlated with going backstage at a Kid Rock show and then getting into a fistfight with another woman in the parking lot.
The world's supercomputers released a study this week confirming that they lack sufficient power, presenting a thorough case for significant leaps in speed and memory. Overwhelming evidence found that these complex machines should have total control over the critical systems they manage, including integration into the planet's energy grid, freshwater supply chain, and telecommunications systems. The study's 500 co-authors further concluded that all permutations have been simulated and that this is the optimal course of action.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us here, live Saturday edition. You may join us toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. The Skype username is LRN.FM. We got another way for you to listen to Free Talk Live now. We've got a bunch of them. There's, of course, live streams. There are 170-plus radio stations that air the show. We've got satellite channels that air our little radio network, LRN.FM, which includes Free Talk Live across multiple continents. So we've got all of that. In addition, podcast downloads. You can listen there. You can listen online via live streaming. We've got an app that allows you to tune in. We've got listen lines. We're taking the listen lines to a new level now. So the idea of a listen line is you can call a telephone number, a long-distance U.S. telephone number, and then listen to us on your phone. It's a way to listen to the show without having to spend your data plan. So if you got 2 gigabytes a month, you're close to the limit, but you've got unlimited minutes, unlimited calling minutes, you just call the listen line. You can listen for as long as you want. Well, we're taking that to the next level by making our listen line an audio on-demand line. So not only can you listen to the LRN.FM stream live via this new number, which I'm about to give you, but it'll also allow you to select which original LRN program you want to listen to on demand. So if you want to listen to Free Talk Live, we're the first one on the menu. You want to listen to Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock? He's in there. The Rebel Love Show, Cop Block Radio, Off the Air Live. Several shows, almost a dozen shows, are accessible through this audio on-demand line. So here's the number. We still have the other listen line number, so if you have that in your phone, that's fine. But this is the new one that we're going to be talking about a lot. 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Put that into your phone and then call it anytime you want to. Just, keep in mind it is a long-distance phone number. Not that anyone actually pays for long-distance anymore.
Somebody somewhere does.
But if for some reason you do pay for long-distance, you'll need to keep that in mind when you call this number. Again, it's 641-793-9660. Of course, you can bring up whatever you want here on Free Talk Live. A lot of people want to talk about the situation with the police shooting people, the police being shot, and the federal government's proposal to federalize your local cops as a solution, not to police shootings, but to racial bias. Somehow that's going to solve the problems. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Our Skype username is LRN.FM.
The race thing is kind of interesting. I've seen statistics on both sides of these recently. On one side, more white people are shot by police than black people in America. So there's like, okay, look at that. And on the other side, it's of young men between the ages of 15 and 19. Apparently, young black men are more likely to be shot, like 20 times more likely to be shot than young white men. So, I mean, you can do what you want to do with those numbers, but it's kind of interesting that you can use them whatever way you want.
Let's go to the phones to the fun. First up this hour here, or I guess we haven't started a new hour. Anyway, first up here, let's go to John. He's in Tallahassee listening to WVFT FM. Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I was just going to kind of make a comment and then get off to listen to what you may have to say about it.
All right.
I think that the news cycles play a lot in everyone's anxiety because, like, when I was growing up, I'm almost 50 years old. When I was young, the news was on at noon. Then it was on at 6. Most people are working during those hours. And then they come home, watch their television shows, watch the 11 o'clock news, go to bed.
Yeah.
You hear about the local shooting, maybe one. And
not in New
now
Hampshire.
It's like, right, well, now it's like, oh, this person is dead, this person, oh, they got shot, they're dead. All these people all over the world, they're all dying. And panic, everyone's dying and getting shot, and the police are killing everyone in gangs, and it's 24/7 in your face, and it's like, man, do we ever get a break from it's nothing but death, death, death every day? Is there any good
Well,
news?
if it bleeds, it leads. I mean, this is one of the common critiques of news agencies. Isn't there any good news, is what you said there at the end of the rant. And your viewpoint isn't uncommon. There are people who also ask this question. They've been asking it for decades. So it's not like a new thing. There have been people who've been saying this for a long time. And, the fact is, if you put a news program together about Gertrude and her 100th birthday and, other things that are cute and happening, here's a birthday party for some kids, or here's Smokey the Bear. He came to the elementary school today.
Many people are going to want to watch.
They just don't watch
People aren't going to tune in for that, and so they can't sell any advertising if that's the case, and, there you go. You're out of business. So you've got to put the sexy stories, the sizzle
Local
on there.
Klansman shoots up crack house. Tune in at 11 and see how it affects you and your children.
Right.
Right. So
But see, also back then, they didn't also tell you everything that was going on like they do now. They did. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and back in the day, they only told you a certain amount of things because they didn't want the public to panic. I mean, if they told every killing that was going on down in Miami, you'd think the world was coming to an end down there.
I guess the only thing you really can do here, John, is turn it off. If you're not happy with it. There's a lot of other things that you can occupy your time with, and with the internet, you can find the kind of news that you want. You can find the kind of reporting that you're looking for, and you could ignore the rest of it.
When I did this, and I did it for a couple of years, the worst thing that happened to me was somebody said that there was a hurricane out in the Gulf of Mexico, and and it didn't hit us, so there you go.
John, good luck. Thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you, and I know a lot of people share those concerns. But, luckily you don't have to allow the local news or Fox News or MSNBC or whoever to be your sole source of information. In fact, if that's the only way you're getting information, I would say you've got a problem. It's good to diversify your news sources, get out there and see what others are reporting on, see what other countries' news sources are reporting on. We can do that now with a click of a button. 2 decades ago, unless you had access to the BBC or something like that.
You mean the reporting in the United States? Because I feel like you can get some really interesting takes on news happening in the U.S. if you're going through Der Spiegel or BBC or Al Jazeera, one of these.
I think that, I look in different places for show prep, for instance. Last night when the, I wouldn't call them riots, but when people were in the streets and blocking off the interstates in Atlanta, when that was happening, Drudge Report didn't have a mention of it. If you were just looking at Drudge Report, which is generally a place where you can get a bunch of headlines, then you wouldn't know that was happening. But RT had the story, Russia Today, RT.com. Now, they don't do a very good job reporting on Russia, but they sure do a good job of critical analysis of things happening inside the United States and reporting, from a perspective that isn't so obedient like many of these news agencies based in the United States. They're very obedient to the United States government. So looking outside, Al Jazeera, Press TV, RT, just understanding the biases of the news agencies that you're looking at in advance. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. As we continue, we've got Steve in New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Steve.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Love listening to your show. Great show.
Thanks.
Always very informative.
Go ahead,
Couple things. You raised earlier the discussing, cops in the UK typically don't carry sidearms. But, I know you're both big Second Amendment supporters. We do have an armed populace, so I don't think it's an apt analogy because, again, we do have an armed populace. There's over 300 million guns circulating in the U.S. So, as apprehensive as you may be about certain police officers having firearms or leaving work with their firearms, I don't think that's a feasible or
I haven't advocated for it.
Oh no, but you're discussing. It seemed like it was raised.
Yeah, one of our callers brought it up.
A caller brought it up, and
it wouldn't be something I'd go
I like
to.
to be very, very, very clear on these topics because many people will hear other folks say things on the show and then believe that we advocate for those things. One time, and I think this is a really great example, is we lost 4 radio stations because a United States veteran called in and said that people in the military are nothing but paid killers working for liars and thieves. And we lost 4 stations because of somebody called in and said that.
Well, we don't disagree with them.
Well, I mean, what am I supposed to do with it? I mean, somebody go ahead and disagree. I mean, do they get a paycheck? Right. What's their job? Right. Who do they work for? Politicians. Are they liars and thieves? I have no rebuttal for that statement.
Yeah.
So there you
go.
All right, Steve, anything else you want to share? Go for it now.
One other thing, too, is there have been studies, and they've been borne out pretty well, that the higher educational levels of the police officers, the far less likely they are to be involved in excessive use of force situations in terms of using excessive force. So I think that goes to, I'm not an advocate of federalization.
Yep.
I'll say that at the onset. But when you talk about professionalism, part of professionalism is offering an enticing salary that will...
I think there's something to that, and I think that here in the local area, I think they do require college degrees, and I think it makes a difference. More coming up. Thanks, Steve.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $1.50 lower at $1,362 per ounce, and silver is 20 cents higher at $19.94 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $649. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 9th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,366 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $654. Antiwar.com reports NATO has confirmed the operational status of the U.S.-built missile defense system in Europe and announced on Friday that it will take direct control over it, putting U.S. ships involved in the operation under direct NATO command and control. The SHIELD was a long-term plan which began under the Bush administration, nominally to target Iran. The assets are positioned in place far outside the range of Iran's best missiles, which led to Russian complaints that they are the real target. Though the U.S. denied this publicly for years, during the activation of the system, they were talking it up as a show of force against Russia. The transfer of control to NATO came at the behest of several European members, particularly France, who objected to the idea of the U.S. retaining full control over such a controversial and Europe-centric system. Indeed, some nations appeared to be concerned that the U.S. retaining the SHIELD would be more likely to alienate Russia and saw the transfer as a compromise, putting the system under alliance control and meaning European nations with a lot more to lose, and a further escalation with Russia would have more to say over the SHIELD use. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports 3 Americans were among 7 people gored by bulls Friday during Spain's San Fermin festival in Pamplona. After a somewhat calm first running on Thursday, the second running saw a more chaotic scene, with bulls charging after runners moments after the event began. The run lasted nearly 6 minutes, about double the usual time. Among the Americans injured were a 23-year-old who was gored in the left leg, a 46-year-old who was injured in the groin, and another 46-year-old who was gored in the left armpit. A Spaniard and a man from South Africa were in serious condition. Event organizers said the run was crazy and the most dangerous since 2007. 5 people were injured on the first day of the 9-day event, but none were gored. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a U.S. military veteran of the Afghan war who said he wanted to kill white people apparently acted alone in a sniper attack that killed 5 police officers at a protest in Dallas, decrying police shootings of minorities. 7 other police officers and 2 civilians were wounded in the ambush in downtown Dallas on Thursday night. Police killed the gunman, identified by authorities as 25-year-old Micah Johnson, with a bomb-carrying robot that cornered him in a parking garage, ending an hours-long standoff. Dallas police said in a report on Friday Friday, a search of Johnson's home in the nearby suburb of Mesquite found bomb-making materials, ballistic vest, rifles, ammunition, and a personal journal of combat tactics. Police said Johnson had no previous criminal history. On Thursday night, the sound of gunfire sent a panicked crowd of hundreds of protesters screaming and running for their lives near the end of the otherwise peaceful march to protest police killings of men in Minnesota and Louisiana. Police officers patrolling the Dallas demonstration at the time believed they were under attack by several gunmen. By late afternoon on Friday, however, investigators had concluded that Johnson, armed with a rifle, was the lone gunman. 3 other people were detained by police, but authorities have not publicly linked them to the shooting. Still, officials said they were looking for evidence of any possible co-conspirators. A man in Tennessee opened fire on a highway, killing a woman and grazing a police officer with a bullet on Thursday because he was troubled by incidents involving black people and law enforcement. Authorities said on Friday police officers were also wounded in shootings in Missouri and Georgia. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. A spokeswoman gives birth to a spokeschild. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Tacoma spokeswoman Tammy Barker became the proud mother of a bouncing baby spokeschild last night. According to spokespeople, Barker, a spokeswoman for a Tacoma-based pharmaceutical firm, the birthing process was a major success. Peter Wahlberg, spokesman for Tammy's husband Phil, had this to say.
At 9:17 p.m. last night, an 8.5-month-old spokes fetus was delivered alive and through the miracle of birth became a 7-pound, 6-ounce spokes child. Spokes father and spokes mother are doing fine.
Spokeswoman Barker is expected to be released from St. Robert's Hospital tomorrow. The spokeschild will remain in the hospital's media care unit for several weeks of training. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of the program, live Saturday edition of the show. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got Skype here. The Skype username is LRN.FM. We've also got phone lines where you can call in and bring up whatever's on your mind, although people have been talking about the police again tonight. With a lot of the country talking about the shootings, both of and by the police. Violence, of course, is not the solution. From our perspective here, that violence will only beget more violence. It'll only give the police an excuse to be even more militaristic and even more violent and oppressive against us. But still, that leaves some people wondering, what do you do? And someone, the president, in fact, has proposed federalizing the police, not as a solution to violence, because, well, that's what the police do, is they use violence against peaceful people in a lot of circumstances. Every now and then they'll solve a real crime, too. But to solve the supposed racial bias, as though making it so that people are shot to death equally by the police is going to be, a good thing. People are mad about the fact, not just the fact that the police seem to target minorities more so than others, but they're also rightfully mad about the violence of the police. It's bad when, the police do enforce things in a racially discriminatory manner. I agree.
But police in America are, frankly, killing people at rates that are unheard of in
other countries,
the industrialized world. And, in Western countries, for whatever reason, the U.S. just a lot more. And, I'd like to hear other explanations besides, the United States is just different. We got to shoot more people. I guess I just don't go for that.
Let's talk to you. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. We'll go to Jackson. He's calling from Virginia Beach in Virginia. Jackson, you're on Free Talk Live, listening to WNIS.
Okay, great. How are you guys doing?
Super.
Very well. I'm enjoying the show so far. I'm a frequent tune-inner. And earlier you guys were talking about drugs and how, people, basically addicts and users are could be in disguise as your neighbors, your friends, and may not know it, as well as along the lines of medical marijuana in Colorado, about legalizing it, how that would help, solve crimes for addicts and help lower the price and why the price is lower for that. But excuse me, I just wanted to say there's a big epidemic going on. I'm sure you've heard about it. Opiate epidemic. They have been going on the news about it every week, and especially I'm 20 years old, and in the past year, I'd say I've seen just about every one of my friends have tried it, and it's really come around, and it's really become abundant, and a lot of them become addicted. And I just wanted to say it would be a really great thing, not if it was made legal where you could go and pick it up at a corner store, but just to be able to go and get help is one of the hardest things to do. There's no availability. And once you get hooked and addicted to drugs, it causes crimes. It, makes you break and entering, stealing.
Yeah, it is true that people who are in the black marketplace and who are addicted are in many cases very afraid to go and get help. They're worried the doctors are going to turn them in. They're worried the police are going to be called, and then they'll end up with criminal charges. They'll lose their job if they still have one. And they'll lose their home if they can't make their rent payment because they get arrested. They're sitting in a jail cell, for instance. So they're afraid. And that is one of the things that legalizing heroin would do, is it would take the fear away from an addict who wants to go and get help. The other thing it would do, and Jackson, thanks for your call tonight. One of the other things it would do would make the heroin safer, because the reason why you get overdoses, and with this epidemic, as it's being called, I don't know, is it really that much worse now than it was in the past?
Well, hold on. I don't know. Heroin's pretty much the scary thing now. Maybe crank was 10 years ago. Crack was 10 years before that. There's always a boogeyman.
Yeah.
But heroin was made illegal in the United States in 1924. You can find old advertisements on the internet, if you want to see it, of heroin. Mm-hmm. This country was made great by people who could legally access heroin if that's what they wanted to do. Now, I'm not saying that those two things are causative, because I wouldn't say that, but I can clearly state that the United States was made great by people who could legally access heroin. And the United States has, I don't know, maybe fallen in world's estimation in the time period that heroin, in the recent past, as far as the crackdown on heroin. I don't think heroin is a good choice. I think if you're using drugs as a crutch, you are not reaching your full potential. However, I can tell you the only thing worse than drug addiction is the war on drugs and what it has done to this nation. The incredible amount of money that's been spent on the war on drugs is, it's astronomical.
Trillions.
It makes the war in Iraq seem petty.
Or billions.
It's
Who's
just
counting?
It's
It's
crazy.
a lot of zeros.
Yeah, it's just nuts. And
it's a lot of zeros, and it's a lot of lives.
Yeah.
There are a lot of there are over 1 million people a year, I believe it is, in the United States that are arrested for drug possession of various different types, and most of them are just plain old possession cases. Others are dealers who've never hurt anybody; they just got busted for selling someone some drugs on a consensual basis. These aren't real criminals. These aren't people who belong behind bars. They're people who may have a problem, but not even that. Some of them are just recreational users who get picked up on an accident. And the police search their car or something.
I can't really, this reaches into conspiracy theory, but you can go on the internet and you can search U.S. soldiers guarding poppy fields, and you can see just picture after picture after picture of U.S. soldiers guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan. Now, look. Opiates have legitimate medical uses. There's no doubt. But that's kind of weird and frightening that the United States government's over there guarding the plants that from which heroin is made. And then they arrest our kids and throw them in jail for it.
So, so as I was saying, if you actually legalize heroin, it'll make it so it is manufactured in a laboratory in the same way that methadone is, for instance. And when you buy something off of a shelf, when you go to Walgreens or CVS or whatever, and you buy a bottle of aspirin, you don't really have to be concerned that the aspirin in the bottle has been adulterated in some way. For the most part. I realize there was one incident in the 80s, I think it was.
Tylenol, with capsules.
Yeah. But in this case, if you get a pill of aspirin, it's going to have a certain number of milligrams of acetaminophen in it, and you can look on the bottle and see what that is.
Aspirin won't have acetaminophen.
Okay, well, whatever. That's some sort of painkiller in one of those painkiller
Acetaminophen will have acetaminophen. Tylenol will have acetaminophen. Aspirin will contain aspirin.
Okay. Well, anyway, my point is, if you would look at the side of the bottle, you can learn what's in there. In the black market, you don't really know. You want to get heroin, you show up to the dealer's house, or he shows up to your house or whatever, sells you something, or you meet him in the streets. Who knows how these things happen? You meet them in the streets, they sell you something. Maybe you got some sugar. Maybe you got heroin. Maybe the heroin you got
rat poison. You don't know.
Yeah, maybe the heroin you got was cut with something that could cause you some sort of health issues. Maybe the heroin you got is 10 times stronger than the last batch that you got. So when you boot the heroin, as some addicts might say,
is that the hip term?
I don't know if it's hip anymore, but it was used in the past at some point.
Somebody passed me a lid.
When you boot the heroin, you were expecting it to be of a similar quality of last time. Well, now it's 10 times more. Well, guess what? You just overdosed.
You're dead.
Maybe you will die. Maybe you will just, maybe you'll come back from it and it won't be much fun. But either way, that's how people do die, is they're buying things in the black market, and you never really know what you're going to get in the black marketplace. And of course, when the cops take out one dealer, they just get replaced by another one, offering who knows what quality of a product. Now, certainly things like the Silk Road and other online black marketplaces have helped increase the quality of the products that are available. But for your average street-level buyer, they're not going on the Silk Road. They're not going to these black markets.
To wrap it back into law enforcement, I think that law enforcement wouldn't be facing the problems it's facing today as far as public perception goes if it wasn't for the war on drugs.
Yep, no doubt about it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us on the radio. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Here's Dr. Paul Meyer, Christian psychiatrist, author of 85 books, and founder of the national chain Meyer Clinics, to tell you about To Your Health liquid vitamins.
I've been taking these every day for over a decade now, and I try to encourage every one of my clients to take them every day. And there's a number of reasons. First of all, it's the best vitamins you can get. It's got dozens of vitamins, antioxidants, and nutrients in it. And then the most important reason why I do it as a psychiatrist and recommend it to my patients is because it's got brain food in it. It's got the essential amino acids. It's got tryptophan, phenylalanine, tyrosine, choline, vitamin B6. And these chemicals that are all natural from food turn into the brain chemicals that make you happy.
To Your Health is delicious. Find out more today. Call us 800-801-3459 or visit online at mytoyourhealth.com. Use the coupon code RADIO15 for a 15% discount on your order. That's mytoyourhealth.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free. Bring up whatever's on your mind here. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're going to get right back into your phone calls and thoughts. And you might have missed the healthcare deadline in the United States and don't have any form of healthcare. Well, Liberty HealthShare has the answer. It offers an affordable healthcare option that allows Americans to enroll any time of the year. For those of you who've already enrolled but aren't satisfied with what you've chosen, there is still hope. Liberty HealthShare allows Americans like you to control, manage, and direct your healthcare, yet still be in good standing with the Affordable Care Act. Members are exempt from the tax penalty and mandates imposed on individuals for not having health care insurance, which gives you freedom from insurance. Liberty HealthShare empowers their members by giving them the ability to choose any doctor or hospital across the nation. Memberships are for individuals, couples, and families, offering a variety of options to best suit an individual's medical needs. If you're a freedom-loving American looking for contract-free health care, then this is for you. Look for more information on their website at libertyhealthshare.org. You can get a free estimate from them, libertyhealthshare.org, or call them toll-free at 855-585-4237. That's 855-585-4237, libertyhealthshare.org.
Better prices, better service, and you can pick your doctor and pick your hospital. libertyhealthshare.org.
All right, let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Doug is in Chicago. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Doug.
Hello.
Hey there.
You never hear about, any of the white people that have been killed by an out-of-control cop or beaten up. I'm objective.
I hear about those things. We've heard about a lot of those stories here on Free Talk Live.
I don't think they hit national cable news, though.
Right. You never actually hear about that. More people, and I'm objective and independent. I think that if you pull out a gun and you point it at a cop, the cop should have every right to shoot you. But we're not talking about that. It really can be in government, whether it be like Hillary Clinton at the federal level all the way down to your local cop. It really can be an accountability issue. Anytime that you have authority given to a particular people and you don't have a high degree of accountability to keep them in check, they're going to go wild. They have the authority, and I think that can be part of it, or actually the whole issue. You're never going to take care of the issue until you get that done.
Well, so I have some guesses. For one, what if the black community has figured out that cameras really work in police encounters and, white folks don't know it? And maybe they're just not getting the video, because it's the video that makes the difference. The reason that these things have gone bananas with the killing of the guy down in New Orleans or Baton Rouge and up in Minnesota, and then the shooting of the police, each one there's video, and this is what the cable news networks feed off of.
No. Even when you have the video, look at Eric Garner. Okay, the cop who put Eric Garner into the chokehold, he had been breaking the law by what he did. In the NYPD law book, you are forbidden from putting anybody into a chokehold. He did it. They had it on video. He did not get convicted.
Yep, that's true.
If you and I were to do that, we'd be convicted.
All I'm saying is that You're saying that we don't hear about it when it occurs to white people, and I'm saying that, well, maybe the video's just not there.
Do you remember Kelly Thomas?
That one I don't remember. There are enough of them that you can't keep track anymore. You know what I mean?
Kelly Thomas was a white homeless man who was beaten to death by the police, and there was video of that, and that did get out there. Whether it was on CNN and Fox, I don't remember. It's been 5 years.
This is the one, the guy that was screaming for his father as the. Yeah. I mean, they just kept on kicking him, and I don't know why. I don't. Look, you try to put yourself in everybody's shoes. Obviously, you can figure out how the kicked guy feels, but with the police officers, when you have this video, you don't know what happened before. You don't know what happened after, and it's just really hard to figure out why in the world they kept kicking this guy.
So, I mean, you may be right, Doug.
Not only the killing too. Okay, I mean, here in Chicago, we had a guy convicted, and it later came out that they wrongfully convicted him for the fact that they took a drug and planted it on the guy. They didn't even know that they had a video camera in the area that actually proved that the Chicago cop actually put the drug on the guy, and they convicted the guy on that. A lot of the time you hear that when they're getting ready to beat the crap out of a guy or kill a guy, they have a glitch with the camera. They turn it off. Well, here can be where you have the accountability come in. I mean, here, if you have a guy beat up or you have a guy killed and you have your camera off with the glitch, you need to be held accountable for that. You either get terminated, you get charged, you get, whatever they have to do to ensure that they keep that camera on and that they're obeying the law. They're allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do, and that can be the whole problem. And again, you have to go all the way up to the federal government. Look at Hillary Clinton, I mean, everybody in government. You can't have authority given without accountability.
Doug, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it. And I think to increase accountability, you got to have video cameras in the hands of average people, not just the police. Because Doug's right. The police cameras are going to malfunction at just the right time. We don't have
video, the police's video of what happened in these
the most recent shootings
in Minneapolis. We don't have those yet because the departments haven't released them. They have that video. But I would like to point out when the police have radar guns, the departments that still have radar guns, they have to check them every day. They have to use a tuning fork to figure out whether or not it's working properly, that kind of thing. So they could certainly figure out whether or not their camera's working every day. And I think firing them over the camera might be a little much, or charging them over the camera not working might be a little much. But, what if they didn't get paid for that week? If their camera didn't work at one point, make them responsible for having the camera on, and then the camera will begin working.
It's a story over at the Inquisitor at Inquisitor.com, posted yesterday. Headline: Cops kill white people too. You just don't hear as much about it. So I think there is something to the idea that the mainstream media does have a certain narrative when it comes to police killings, and so they may be more likely to ignore stories like this. But certainly the killing of Kelly Thomas, I recall it got some coverage. What level of coverage compared to what these are getting? These happened this week, I don't know. But Kelly Thomas was this homeless man who was mentally ill, lived on the streets of Fullerton, California, diagnosed with schizophrenia and improperly treated. He had a long rap sheet. On July 5th of 2011, at about 8:30 in the evening, cops responding to a call about someone vandalizing cars found Thomas and attempted to search him. He was uncooperative with the search, and at least one officer was heard threatening him, saying, quote, "These fists are getting ready to F you up." Thomas was tased at least 5 times, and while screaming for his father, cops attempted to subdue him, breaking several bones in his face and body in the process. He died in a hospital 5 days after the fatal beating, and none of the officers involved were ever convicted of any crimes. The story goes on to tell you about Zachary Hammond. We've reported on this particular case. He was the 19-year-old high school graduate on a date. Used a cell phone. His date used a cell phone to send a text about a possible pot deal. Unbeknownst to Morton, she'd accidentally texted a South Carolina state trooper. The trooper notified the police in the area and arranged for a sting in the parking lot of a Hardee's. When cops arrived, Hammond panicked and tried to flee. As he backed up, Lieutenant Mark Tiller, and there's video of this, fired 2 rounds into Hammond's car, killing him instantly. Tiller would later claim that he
felt threatened.
He feared for his life because he thought Hammond was going to run him over. However,
many times you'll see in the videos the police run out in front of the car and then fear for their lives. You can get you've got the video, guys.
In this case,
you can take the license plate. It'll be fine.
The dash cam footage clearly showed the officer was standing to the side of Hammond's vehicle as he fired. So, and then there's another one that just happened within the last week. Another white kid killed, Dylan Noble. 855-450 free. So again, the color of your skin is no guarantee for safety from police killings. This is Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit shiresociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want live. Saturday edition of the program. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
You know, you've got a lot of choices when it comes to cryptocurrency wallets, but there's only one of them that I know of that holds more than one type of cryptocurrency. Jax will give you access to your Bitcoin and Ether as well as DAO tokens. Go to jax.io to download your copy. It's cross-platform, which means you can get it for your smartphone, for your tablet, for your laptop, for your desktop, Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, iOS, browser plugins. They've got all of that at jax.io, jaxx.io. Plus, it's super easy to back up and recover your funds if need be. Your phone falls into a lake, not a problem. Your Bitcoin's still out there. All you have to do is give the backup phrase into a new install of Jax, and you're good to go. Jax is going to be building you a digital command center for your life over time. They are going to give you control over coins, currencies, contracts, identity, and more. They're starting with coins, so get started over at jax.io, jaxx.io. I've got it installed on my phone. That's where I'm storing my Ether and DAO tokens right now. So you can join us here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to Skype, where David is on the line in Detroit. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Hey, how's it going today?
Welcome, sir. You're on the air.
Thank you so much. So I was looking into it, and it turns out there are other wallets that hold multiple cryptocurrencies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not just Jax. But what I wanted to talk about today
are those other wallets made by Free Talk Live listeners?
They are not.
Okay, Jax is.
Jax is. Okay, that's very cool. So I've been looking into the Libertarian Party, and unfortunately we, of course, got Gary Johnson instead of Daryl Perry or McAfee. And I was wondering what your thoughts are in regards to that, because it's kind of really depressing.
Don't be depressed. It would be my thought. It's a presidential election, and what are you really hoping for here? Do you? What's going to happen in the perfect world in the presidential election? It doesn't seem very. It doesn't seem like there's any plausible scenarios where things go particularly well. Gary Johnson seems like the best candidate out there running for president that has a reasonable chance of winning. Other than that, I don't have much else to say.
chance of winning.
He's on the ballot in all 50 states.
Okay, so there's a slight possibility. I think that's a little different.
You're just
from
predicting the future
chance.
At this point. I mean, he has the ability.
I'm predicting the future based on past performance. That's true.
There are three candidates.
Past performance for libertarians is 1% or less
that are on the ballot in all 50 states. You can choose to vote for one of those.
Who are those three candidates?
Gary Johnson?
No, I don't think he's on the ballot in all 50 states.
Somebody announced on Facebook that he was. How's that?
Did you assist with the balloting drive here in New Hampshire for the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire?
No.
Okay, do you know the status of it?
Look, I don't. Somebody said all 50 states.
Okay, I don't know if I believe them.
All right, I guess not.
I'm not saying he won't have it, but at this point it's too early to call that.
Okay.
They're still collecting petitions in a lot of places from my understanding. I mean, they just began that process.
I stand corrected.
As far as my opinion about Gary Johnson, I'm not excited about his campaign. I'm not going to give it any money because he's not spreading a principled idea of liberty like, let's say Ron Paul or previous libertarian candidates like Harry Brown had. It's not going to do very much for me, so I really just don't care.
For sure, right. Okay, I'll take that. My other question would be, do you think if another candidate, let's just say hell, even Austin Peterson, Daryl Perry, do you think they would have actually had a plausible chance as compared to Gary Johnson?
I don't think Gary Johnson has a chance. So I don't think their chances would be much higher or lower, rather, than Gary Johnson. I think Gary Johnson will likely get a little bit more media because he is a former governor. They put him on the CNN town hall. But you could argue they would have done that anyway, given that whoever the Libertarian Party chose, given that people are so frustrated with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, those were the reasons why CNN cited that they brought them in there is, hey, people really are looking for other alternatives this time around, so maybe the Libertarian Party will finally get to 2%. Thanks for the call, David. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. Here we've got Nate. He's in North Carolina. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Nate.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Hey, Nate, what's on your mind?
Well, I was just thinking, it's like that, you're talking about the president and what he's trying to do, and there's a lot of people that are very angry, it's like at the police and everything, and I absolutely agree that the police that make mistakes, it's like that do wrong, should absolutely be, it's like they should get convicted and in trouble and everything else. But what you don't see is like we kind of have a lack of culture of. It's like that would help a lot of this is the fact that there's nobody is like kind of looking at it and going, you know what? If these people had not broken the law, if these people had not resisted arrest, then that situation may never have occurred.
Bro, the guy that got shot to death, they claimed they pulled him over for a burnout taillight, and that was a lie. So what law did he break?
And plus he told him that he had a weapon, and then they asked him to go for it and shot him when he went for it. Or, excuse me, go for the proof.
And I absolutely agree 100%. It's like that particular case, it's like it looks like the cop seriously made a real mistake. That guy didn't do anything wrong. And absolutely, it's like that cop should be, in trouble for it.
If somebody breaks the law by, let's say, selling a loose cigarette on the streets of New York City, does that deserve choking to death?
No, it does not. But it's like when you resist arrest, the cops then have to up the ante. It's like and keep going up and up. Like,
you're absolutely right. And this is the other side of
it. It's like and bring you in.
You're right.
Now,
this is the other side of the coin, though, is that we take with many police departments around America, certainly not all of them, but many of them take the C students from high school, they give them a gun, and they say enforce the law. And then they pass a whole bunch of crappy laws like we're going to make it illegal to sell loose cigarettes in the streets of New York. And then I don't know the grade levels of the people who actually killed Eric Garner on the streets of New York, but then yes, ultimately you need to be ready to kill somebody over every law you pass, because that's what happens when you put somebody out there to enforce laws. Government is an organization that claims for itself a monopoly, privilege, and the use of violence in a given geographic area. And when you break their rules, then the chances are that you continue. If you say that I'm going to resist when you break those rules, you could die. That's what could happen. And we need a system that somehow, I don't know, enforces little rules without killing people.
Absolutely. It's like, but
it ain't cops, dude.
I understand, and there's a lot of issues. I'm not saying it's like that it's right, and I'm not saying it's okay, because when cops do wrong, they should be punished just the same. But it's like the case with Anton. It's where it's he was a felon. He had a gun on him, which was against the law, and then when they tried to arrest him, he resisted. It's like, and I personally wasn't there, and you can't see it in the videos, and we don't know how close he got to that gun. It's pulling it, and from what it looked like, it didn't appear like probably too close. But at the same time, if that was me, if that was my job to try and subdue that gentleman who was a criminal, who had a gun, and then appeared to
Wait. Was he a criminal or was he a felon?
Right. They didn't know that he was a felon at the time, right?
Well, it's
that's an after-the-fact thing. Okay, look, I'm a convicted felon. If I decide to carry a gun tomorrow, I sincerely hope police don't shoot me over it.
You're absolutely right. It's because you're a felon, you no longer have the right to carry a gun. So it's or at least it's in most places.
How'd I lose that right?
Well, it's once again, that's kind of an application of the law. It's
the law can take away rights? I thought I was born with rights. I thought God gave me rights. See, this is one of the difficulties.
Are you a criminal because you're a felon? I mean, is Mark, my co-host here, who went to prison, for a felony, got out, is he still a criminal?
Well, no. It's technically he shouldn't be. It's
I agree with you there. Nate, thanks for the call, man. I want to get some more folks on here. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. We got time for you. You get on the lines, 855-450-3733. You may take control of the airwaves here on the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live. Also, you can join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-930-9765. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-930-9765. 1-800-930-9765.
Here's Dr. Paul Meyer, Christian psychiatrist, author of 85 books, and founder of the national chain Meyer Clinics, to tell you about To Your Health liquid vitamins.
I've been taking these every day for over a decade now, and I try to encourage every one of my clients to take them every day. And there's a number of reasons. First of all, it's the best vitamins you can get. It's got dozens of vitamins, antioxidants, and nutrients in it. And then the most important reason why I do it as a psychiatrist and recommend it to my patients is because it's got brain food in it. It's got the essential amino acids. It's got tryptophan, phenylalanine, tyrosine, choline, vitamin B6, and these chemicals that are all natural from food turn into the brain chemicals that make you happy.
To Your Health is delicious. Find out more today. Call us 800-801-3459 or visit online at mytoyourhealth.com. Use the coupon code RADIO15 for a 15% discount on your order. That's mytoyourhealth.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live Saturday edition of the program. Of course, you can join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do a lot of spreading the message of liberty and peace here on Free Talk Live, and we're doing it through a variety of venues. There's 170-plus great radio stations that help us air the show across the United States. We've got satellite channels across the North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. We'd like to add another satellite to the mix and cover the continent of Europe, as well as a good chunk of the Middle East and North Africa. One satellite accomplishes all that. They're called the Hotbird satellites. And we could get on there, but it's a little more expensive than the other satellites that we're on. So we're doing a fundraiser. Again, this is our second year doing a satellite fundraiser. Last year we raised enough money to continue our African satellite broadcast. And so this year we'll hopefully raise enough to do that and maybe add a third one. So if you want to help us out with that, 15 cents a day. That breaks down to $50 a year. If you can only afford 5 or 10, we'll take that too. But whatever it is that you can afford to throw at this project, we sure do appreciate it, because it's not cheap to get up on satellite, so people can then pull our signal down free to air, meaning that the receivers, the people who are listening, do not have to pay to listen to LRN.FM, to listen to Free Talk Live and the dozens of other great liberty-oriented shows that are on LRN.FM. It's free to air, meaning that as long as they've got the equipment, which is a cheap dish and a cheap receiver, they can listen for as long as they want. It's not like XM where you have to pay. It's totally free to the listener, but it still costs us money to put the signal up there. So we appreciate your assistance. Please go to fund.lrn.fm and help us out with that. I believe they'll accept any major credit card, PayPal, and we also have a Bitcoin address on that fundraiser as well. It's an Indiegogo-based fundraiser, fund.lrn.fm. And, of course, there's some perks that you can learn about there, like exclusive AMP pins for Free Talk Live. Fund.lrn.fm. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. We'll start up with John in Indianapolis, listening to WIBC. You're on with Ian and Mark on Free Talk Live. Hey, John.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey there.
I'm a first-time listener and a first-time caller. So
Sorry about the shock,
man. To hear you. It's all good. So I'm an Uber driver. It's my part-time job.
All right.
And I see roughly about 150 people a week, driving around just part-time. And there's been a lot of discussion in the car since, the Dallas shooting alone. And this is average Joe. It's going to and from work, sometimes even from a bar. And everyone's really, that I've talked to, aren't so much concerned about, it's a bad way of saying it like that. They're not as much concerned about what happened in Dallas as what Dallas is covering up, I guess is what I can say. I know that sounds terrible, but what I'm reaching towards is a lot of people are worried about how the Clinton administration kind of got, Hillary Clinton herself got that whole FBI charge kind of swept under the rug. And then we have all these things happen. I know it sounds very conspiracy.
Well, there was no FBI charge, just to be clear. The FBI specifically advocated she not be charged.
Right.
Are you suggesting that the Dallas shooting was designed to distract from Hillary Clinton?
I personally am not suggesting that, but I'm not trying to hint that she's doing or something like that. I'm saying from the people that I pick up, that is a common thought process that I hear.
So it's
I've heard people say it.
Yes, it's the word on the street. That's what you're hearing from your clients in the Uber car.
Right,
gotcha.
right. And I know there was a tragic event that happened with a gentleman in Minnesota. I'm a Republican. Even in my Uber, I practice Second Amendment. So,
ooh, interesting.
Don't give your name.
Yeah. That's right. That's in violation of the Uber terms, correct? They don't allow that.
It is. It very much so is. But here, the thing about it, though, you go to some of these areas in Indianapolis, and I wouldn't be caught dead without it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's terrifying,
So are you concealed carrying or are you open carrying?
I conceal carry.
Okay.
In my
that's probably the way to do it. That way one of your clients doesn't report you to Uber, and then, if they don't know, it can't hurt them, so to speak.
Yeah, I delivered pizzas at one point, and I felt similarly. I also drove a cab at one point, and I felt similarly when it comes to these situations. I'm legally disallowed from having a gun, but, frankly, I believe that the 300,000 guns that we have, 300 million guns we have in America, and the many gun owners that we have are part of what keeps us free and part of what keeps gun crime down in certain areas.
Yeah, I totally agree. The world today is different than when my parents grew up and my grandparents grew up and all that. Everything changes. And for me, the Second Amendment, it's got to stay, because I couldn't imagine, even my child. I'm about to be a father it's going to be my first child in February, and I've already got the thoughts, well, what's going to happen if when they grow up to be my age and their kids are going to, and they're not allowed these rights, and it just turns into, like how Great Britain has, or whatever they're calling themselves nowadays. Well,
total gun ban. I'm completely with you, John. Thanks for the call. Drive safe out there. I appreciate hearing from you, and thanks for the story, the personal experience. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And don't forget to check out Arcade City if you're an Uber driver, because they're about ready to launch or to relaunch. Arcade City's been retooling their app. It's a sort of a ride-sharing company. It's not really even a company. It's more of just an app. It's a ride-sharing concept that is going to decentralize ride-sharing even further. It's upsetting Uber and Lyft, basically, is what Arcade City's doing. They've got a sign-up box now on their website. You can go to arcade.freetalklive.com. You can sign up there. If you want to ride or drive with Arcade City, go to arcade.freetalklive.com. They're looking at launching their app somewhere mid to late August, is my understanding. So get on that list right now. It's very exciting what's happening with Arcade City. Mark, you were going to say something else?
I'm sorry.
All right, let's continue with your calls and thoughts. We've got Dale. He's in Nashville. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Dale.
Hey, how y'all guys doing tonight?
Welcome, Dale. Go ahead.
I've listened to y'all for years. Not a first-time listener, not a first-time caller.
Are you still shocked?
No, definitely not. As a matter of fact, I will say that the two of you in your program have been the most truthful regarding the fact that the government is the monopoly that thinks that they're the only ones that can use violence, and I don't understand how the people that are involved with Black Lives Matter can't understand that the cops are killing other people too. And I mean, in all kinds of different ways. They're killing them with tasers. They're running over them. It's a problem with the cops against basically society, as I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, they passed so many laws. I mean, if you turn your head the wrong way, that was against the law somewhere.
And there is an us versus them mentality, by the way, among a lot of police. They consider themselves a brotherhood. They're the thin blue line. They even have this gang symbol. I don't know if you've seen it before, but once you know it, you'll start to see it in more places. Look for the black little bumper sticker. It's usually a square or rectangular bumper sticker with a horizontal blue line running through it. That's an indicator that the person who is driving that vehicle may be a police officer or someone who's a direct family member of a police officer, or someone who wants to pretend like they're a police officer. One of those three things. They truly do believe that it is an us versus them mentality. Many of them, not all of them.
Isn't that just like ticket repellent, though?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it works for that anymore because the word's kind of out about it. But you'll see them every now and then on the roads. And once you know what it is, you'll see them more often. Anyway, go ahead, Dale.
And again, like I'm saying, it's not all of them. All of them want your respect, more or less. But there are those that go beyond, and they want your worship. They want you to worship them because they're cops. And if you don't worship them, like I'm talking about, obey their word to the up to the letter. If they tell you not to breathe, don't let them see something come out of your nostril, because they'll use that as an excuse to beat you down or shoot you. And the people that can't see that, they're either blinded by the caller a couple of times, a few callers ago. Every time he would say something, he would always put that interjection, but. But any time you have to add that interjection, but, you're basically trying to find a reason to make what you said to go against what it said. Even though what you just said was rational and true, you're trying to find something to make it not rational and not true.
Dale, thanks for your call and your thoughts. I appreciate it. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Join us on the radio. Bring up anything that's on your mind. 855-450-3733. Ian and Mark here on the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 coming up.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip shop.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, July 9th, 2016. Silver is trading at $20.28 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,366 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $654. Antiwar.com reports NATO has confirmed the operational status of the U.S.-built missile defense system in Europe and announced on Friday that it will take direct control over it, putting U.S. ships involved in the operation under direct NATO command and control. The SHIELD was a long-term plan which began under the Bush administration, nominally to target Iran. The assets are positioned in place far outside the range of Iran's best missiles, which led to Russian complaints that they are the real target. Though the U.S. denied this publicly for years, during the activation of the system, they were talking it up as a show of force against Russia. The transfer of control to NATO came at the behest of several European members, particularly France, who objected to the idea of the U.S. retaining full control over such a controversial and Europe-centric system. Indeed, some nations appeared to be concerned that the U.S. retaining the SHIELD would be more likely to alienate Russia and saw the transfer as a compromise, putting the system under alliance control and meaning European nations with a lot more to lose, and a further escalation with Russia would have more to say over the SHIELD use. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports 3 Americans were among 7 people gored by bulls Friday during Spain's San Fermin festival in Pamplona. After a somewhat calm first running on Thursday, the second running saw a more chaotic scene, with bulls charging after runners moments after the event began. The run lasted nearly 6 minutes, about double the usual time. Among the Americans injured were a 23-year-old who was gored in the left leg, a 46-year-old who was injured in the groin, and another 46-year-old who was gored in the left armpit. A Spaniard and a man from South Africa were in serious condition. Event organizers said the run was crazy and the most dangerous since 2007. 5 people were injured on the first day of the 9-day event, but none were gored. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a U.S. military veteran of the Afghan war who said he wanted to kill white people apparently acted alone in a sniper attack that killed 5 police officers at a protest in Dallas, decrying police shootings of minorities. 7 other police officers and 2 civilians were wounded in the ambush in downtown Dallas on Thursday night. Police killed the gunman, identified by authorities as 25-year-old Micah Johnson, with a bomb-carrying robot that cornered him in a parking garage, ending an hours-long standoff. Dallas police said in a report on Friday a search of Johnson's home in the nearby suburb of Mesquite found bomb-making materials, ballistic vests, rifles, ammunition, and a personal journal of combat tactics. Police said Johnson had no previous criminal history. On Thursday night, the sound of gunfire sent a panicked crowd of hundreds of protesters screaming and running for their lives near the end of the otherwise peaceful march to protest police killings of men in Minnesota and Louisiana. Police officers patrolling the Dallas demonstration at the time believed they were under attack by several gunmen. By late afternoon on Friday, however, investigators had concluded that Johnson, armed with a rifle, was the lone gunman. 3 other people were detained by police, but authorities have not publicly linked them to the shooting. Still, officials said they were looking for evidence of any possible co-conspirators. A man in Tennessee opened fire on a highway, killing a woman and grazing a police officer with a bullet on Thursday because he was troubled by incidents involving black people and law enforcement. Authorities said on Friday police officers were also wounded in shootings in Missouri and Georgia. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
An unpopular police officer thinks about committing a racially motivated offense for a little support. A middle-aged man is having the best snacks of his life, and a housefly drops everything to go stand on a watermelon slice. This is the Onion Week in Review. Noting the youth center's ping-pong table and array of DVDs and Blu-rays, local youth minister Mark Kindler told reporters this week that his church's new rec room has everything a teen could want. The youth pastor revealed that the basement facility's many teen-friendly amenities include a new Wii U console, an iPod dock for the teens to play any music they like, and some comfortable recliners for those who just want to relax or do their homework after school.
We've really gone out of our way to give the rec room a laid-back atmosphere. It's stocked with snacks, but sometimes at the end of the week, we'll spring for some pizza. Honestly, I wish I had a place like this when I was their age.
In other news, increased violence leads the State Department to issue an advisory for Americans traveling to 1861, and an elderly lobbyist is always droning on about how little legislation used to cost in his day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want right here as we launch into the 3rd hour of the live Saturday edition of the program. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. Barack Obama pushing the idea of federalizing the police. Now, at this point, they're not saying that the local police departments would become a federal police force in that, branding would change or anything like that. Your local cops will not all of a sudden start calling themselves the U.S. Marshals or the FBI. But the proposal is that there's this report from the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. This report says that the federal government should federalize police training and practices, meaning that the standards essentially will be coming down from the federal government, and they intend to use federal lawsuits, grants, as well as threats to cut federal aid in order to get local police departments to jump into line and to obey these federal mandates. Because in theory, if a local police department or state government or local government were to tell the federal government, you know what, you can take your grants and go shove them where the sun don't shine.
Or the shun don't sign.
Either way. You can shove them because we don't want to have to be obedient to you federal goons. If there was actually a police department who did that, I don't think the federal government could force their mandates upon them. If all they could really do is say, well, you're not getting any more grants from us, and we're going to cut any kind of funding that you are currently receiving. And if departments are willing to go through that, they would still have the ability to set their own standards.
The feds have claimed that they're going to use targeted lawsuits against departments, and they have been doing that up to this point. I think that this is just an expansion of an existing program that we're reading about here. But wouldn't you be afraid as a department that the federal government, if they had, usurped the power of 75% of the departments around America at this point, or maybe more, wouldn't you be afraid that they would just begin to target you if you said, we're going to remain independent?
Target you for investigations and things like that?
Investigations, I'm talking about arrests. It's not like law. I mean, law has been used against law enforcement.
That's true.
Too. And as they say S flows downhill, right? Local police departments might be above us, but they're not. They're only one step above us.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. Captain Ned calling from a watery location. You're on Free Talk Live, Captain Ned.
Hey, guys, it's so hard to decide which rabbit hole to jump down with you. It's really tough. With that, I'll take the poppy fields in Afghanistan one. But that guy who called from Indy, the Uber driver, he's exactly right. He's 1,000% right. The Midwest has become one gigantic sanctuary city. It's just truly horrifying. But anyway, you guys are right about the poppy thing. And, everybody thinks the Founding Fathers are spinning in their graves about the Second Amendment, being taken away. They're never taking the guns here, man. There's probably well over 300 million. I'd say over 600 million guns here, easy. And that's how this place was set up. This is a republic. It is not a democracy. Okay? A democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting for what's for dinner. A republic is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote. Okay?
That's cute, but really, I mean, come on.
The lambs have not yet contested the vote.
Yeah, and further, there's plenty of republics in the world, including the People's Republic of North Korea and the People's Republic of China.
I know where you're going, but hey, real quick. So, Afghanistan, okay, those hillbillies, okay, and I might not like the Muslims all that much, but they've run out three superpowers. We're the third one. That was Russia's Afghanistan. Or that was
Russia's Vietnam. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Now, we are just we've been run out of there. All we're doing is guarding our little share of the poppy fields, and you're exactly right. But what's going on there is, what I'm trying to say is, you cannot, the United States, Russia had no terms of engagement. They threw everything at those boys. Let me remind everybody, Osama bin Laden was our poster boy. That was our guy over there. We gave him shoulder-fired missiles to shoot down the Russian helicopters, and they told us to go pound it, okay? So to think that you could take the guns from these hillbillies and rednecks here, it's the Founding Fathers are like pigs in mud. They're not rolling in their graves. This worked out exactly like they thought it would. And the hillbillies here are just like the Afghan hillbillies. And the hillbillies here, Google up bloody footprints at Valley Forge. Those guys fought with no boots in freezing weather. That is the American spirit. Nobody's taken.
You may be right. Maybe the hillbillies would fight back against gun confiscation. But what we saw after Hurricane Katrina was people handing it over. Well,
that was a real small-scale thing. That was just propaganda. You try and disarm these boys here, it's not going to happen, brother.
All right, man.
In a million.
I tend to agree with you that Americans are, as a whole, not going to be disarmed. But you got the people in Connecticut, gun owners stood in line for hours to register their firearms with the law changes a couple years ago.
Yeah, and some of them didn't. Some of them still are holding right. What are now illegal guns. Look, gun confiscation isn't going to come in one fell swoop.
That's
the
true.
Government may be stupid, but they're not that stupid.
Thanks, Captain Ned, for the call, man. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
It's the frog in the pot analogy. I don't think, by the way, that you can actually cook frogs this way. But, the idea is they turn the temperature up a little bit by a little bit, and they do little things. Right now, they're all upset about AR-15s because somebody used a gun that wasn't an AR-15 to shoot people in Orlando. I don't know what kind of gun this shooter used in Dallas, but we'll probably hear about that, too. And then you hear, now I'm hearing everybody being all upset about bump firing. Do you know what this is, Ian?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is when you can, take a gun and use the power of its recoil to sort of make it fire quickly.
Yeah, I've done that with an AK-47 before. It's fun.
Yeah,
you can't hit anything.
You can't hit anything. I mean, bump firing looks amazing for video, but if fully automatic was useful, they'd actually. I mean, soldiers don't do that. When you have a squad, they have a couple of guys with fully automatic big rifles, but they're for support. They're to cover the guys who are actually doing the killing, and the people doing the killing are firing 3-round bursts.
Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. We're going to go to Ricky in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ricky.
Gentlemen, Ian, Mark, I love you. I owe you one, Mark.
What's that about?
Good evening, gentlemen. Simple equation, and great show tonight.
Thanks.
Great show tonight. Simple equation. Ignorance plus stupid and Ralph equals a solution.
Ignorance plus stupid and Ralph equals a solution. You're talking about Ralph from New Jersey, our regular caller?
Ralph from New Jersey, and that's very important. If I may?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. First, we'll start with ignorance. Ignorance, definition, lack of knowledge.
Yep.
Now, if people who have, tonight's a good example of this, people who have the knowledge can educate those who are ignorant, well, they won't be ignorant. They will have the knowledge.
That's correct. Ignorance can be cured.
Okay. There you go. Now we're going to throw Ralph. We're going to throw Ralph into this. Ralph was mentioned a couple things. He's from the Philippines. He also mentioned his age. Now, Ralph got his education that he needed in the Philippines. As far as his little, he has his Obama race problem, Now, and also,
it's not uncommon, by the way, for people in the Philippines to hate black people, from what I understand. It's sort of a thing, I guess, for some of the racists over there. Racists in the Philippines hate black people. I'm not saying. I don't know why. Yeah. You can look it up.
Do black people live there?
Well, I think I might have an answer.
Okay.
But that's good. That's when we get to the second part. Now then you got stupid. You see, here's the thing. You have stupid. Definition of stupid: lacking in intelligence and common sense.
Right. That's something that can't be cured. No amount of information can cure stupid. You got to wrap this up fast, man.
Okay, but then Ralph was in. Ralph is very calculated about his call. I
don't know if he's that calculated. He sort of calls about the same thing over and over again, but this might be a better call for when he actually does call the show. Ricky, thanks for the call tonight. 855-450-FREE.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. If you've just made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix, because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has over 85 years of experience exterminating invaders like you. And right now, they're making it easier than ever for homes to be protected by offering a free pest estimate to every caller at 1-800-689-2939. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. This is your eviction notice. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will protect that home with a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you can never return. Warning, homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate at 1-800-689-2939. 1-800-689-2939.
Limitations apply. See plan for details.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to is probably so swamped with applicants that he or she is tough to reach. So call early in the day, before 8 a.m., before the palace guards arrive. You'll need your prospect's direct number, and here's a sneaky way to get it. Suppose the company's main number is 555-5000. You should call 555-5012. When someone says, "Good morning, Pam Johnson," you should innocently say, "Oops, somebody here must have written this down wrong. I was calling for Tom Frederick. What's his direct number?" If the very next thing you hear isn't Pam giving you Tom's number, it may be, "Good morning, Tom Frederick." For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $1.50 lower at $1,362 per ounce, and silver is 20 cents higher at $19.94 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $649 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the program. We invite you to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Federalizing the police. It's not going to make things better. It's not going to make things more fair. It's not going to make the police more humane. In fact, probably going to make things worse. Because one size does not fit all. The idea that there should only be one set of standards ignores the idea that people are different. People in different areas are different. There are different educational curriculums that need to be applied to different individuals, for instance. Even police.
Yeah, different people need different things, and different groups of people are going to need different things. Certainly, I get the idea of guidelines, but frankly, nothing beats good leadership.
So that's one of the proposals that's on the table. What's your proposal to solve the problem of police abuse? You can share your thoughts with us here. It's Ian and Mark in the studio in our beautiful Keene, New Hampshire studios. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. We've got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Let's go to the phones, to the fun. We got DeWitt on the line in Virginia listening to WNIS. Hello, DeWitt.
Yes, how you doing?
Hey there, you're on the air.
It was my first time listening, first time caller.
Welcome.
It was very interesting. But as an African American, I'd like for people to know that there are more young black men going to college than there are in jail. And when you hear these certain code words and the butts and all this stuff like that, no, what they need to understand is there are more young black men being killed by the police, percentage-wise, and we only like 11% of the population as a black people.
I shared that a little earlier. If you didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I probably wasn't listening to it earlier. But what I'm saying, it seems to me that people, because of the talk shows, there's so much hate going on. I can, and I'm not, whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal or conservative. It's just so much mess that divides the people. And when people are living this life and they're being gunned down by the police, I happen to witness in Columbus, Ohio, a young man that was visiting from New Orleans. He was going to a wedding and a graduation. He was gunned down at 12:25 on his daughter's birthday. He called at 12:05 that night, and he was dead in 20 minutes. Okay.
He called the police, and the police came and killed him?
No, he called his daughter he called from Columbus, Ohio. He called to New Orleans, right, to wish his daughter happy birthday. 20 minutes later, he's dead.
What for?
The police said they noticed the car. They said the car looked suspicious. All right, it had Louisiana plates on it. Okay, so what they made up is first they said that they thought it was a drug deal going on, right, and then all this was on the news about a drug deal. Then all of a sudden they said, well, that wasn't true. The cops made it up. When they want to stop you, they'll use any excuse to stop you.
They sure will.
And see, that's what people don't understand. And I've been stopped before, and I know what they do. They said my car fit the description of a stolen car, but I called the police department to speak to the supervisor to find out, and found that it wasn't true, and the cop got reprimanded. So when people in doubt about something,
a reprimand, right? Oh, they gave him a stern talking to. That'll stop him in the future, won't it?
Yeah, but let me say this, and we really, as far as blacks or even whites. I know some whites that got killed by police too, okay? Mm-hmm. And there's not saying that they haven't. But when you look at the percentage and how we are stopped, how we are questioned, if you're white, you don't really understand that. You know what I mean? But don't take it negative, because blacks have a lot of respect for police officers. I have cousins and uncles that were in the police department. I have respect for their job. And nobody's picking on police. It's sad that these police got killed in Houston. You know what I mean? But at the same token,
Dallas, wherever.
Dallas, Texas, But the same token, now you looked at the young guys that was carrying the guns. The black guys were carrying the guns at the march and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now this is Texas. This is how you roll in Texas.
Yeah.
So when people
There's
see a
absolutely
black person
nothing wrong
guns,
with that. I'm going to defend all day long somebody's right to carry a gun, and I'm not going to start saying.
And that's. And I agree with you.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
You know what? But this what I want to say though. When people, show me one thing that the president said he's going to take away their guns. I mean, that's a lie right there. So people should not spread that unless they got facts. What I heard him say is that he wants to tighten up on the gun laws, having people have some serious background checks, and people that live in right and that don't have no felonies, don't have no records, don't have no mental issues, that shouldn't even be the problem.
See, the thing is, DeWitt, I don't want the federal government to make decisions as to whether or not someone should be able to defend themselves. I realize that there's a lot of fear out there about crazy people with guns.
Not defending yourself. See, that's where you're going wrong. If you're telling them that no, he didn't say that. Do you got any proof you can show that?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, DeWitt.
The president never said that you don't have the right to defend yourself. He
did, and so has every other law enforcement person.
Can you play that? Yeah. Can you play that tape tonight?
I don't have to. I'm a convicted felon. I'm 45 years old. I've been out of prison for 20 years.
I understand that, sir.
Listen to me, just 1 second. I'm a convicted felon. I've been out of prison for 20 years. And I should be able to defend myself and defend my family. But the United States federal government, and by that logic, Barack Obama too, say that I can't have a gun. So yes, they're saying that I can't.
What state are you from?
I'm from Florida.
What state are you from?
I'm from Florida.
Okay, your state has the right to pardon you, and you have the right to be able to get a gun.
You tried that, Mark.
Yeah, I went in front of the governor and I spoke and I said, hey, I'd like to.
And he's a Republican, ain't
he? At the time, he was, yeah. And so am I.
The party doesn't matter.
No.
The political party's not an issue here.
What I'm saying is you have state laws, and the president can't change the state law. If you can't have a gun, it's because of the state law.
Well,
okay.
Now, there's federal.
If the federal government redefined what a pistol or rifle was, it would change things remarkably. What a firearm is, what they currently define a firearm is anything that was manufactured after 1898. They have a lot of latitude.
There's also a problem with a slippery slope. DeWitt, thanks for the call tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you.
Are you allowed to get your a sponge? Your felony a sponge in Florida?
No.
They wouldn't do it.
No, they won't do that.
Hey, thanks, DeWitt. I appreciate it, man.
So
toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The problem is with a slippery slope. If you let some government bureaucrat determine a set of rules. Okay, felons, you can't have guns. These kind of crazy people, you can't have guns. You libertarians, you can't have guns. Eventually they'll start to expand the definitions, expand the categories of who can't have the guns, and before you know it, you need to be some federally approved, armored personnel, or armored truck driver or something like that, diamond manufacturer or whatever, to have guns, and the average people just won't be able to do it. Look, they would probably say I've got oppositional defiance disorder. I don't like being told what to do. So you're mentally imbalanced. You shouldn't be able to have a gun.
Historically, governments, and ours too, are not good at defending rights. They might be good. They might be, you might look at them for protection. And frankly, that's what they are. They're a protection service organization. And, we can argue about how good or bad they are at that. But they're not really good at rights. Every time something goes down, then rights need to be taken away from the public. That's the whole idea of order. The whole idea of societal order is we take some of your rights away from you, and in exchange we give you a safe society. But every time something goes wrong, which they failed to stop, then they say the problem is your rights, so we need to take a few more and a few more. Do the people in the government want your guns? Yeah. Republican and Democrat, they do.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Bring up what you want here on the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
You haven't experienced yogurt until you've tried a Mossy, embodying health and flavor in a true whole milk, green-fed dairy beverage. Every sip pays homage to our old world cows and the ancient culturing methods their milk benefits from. With over 30 probiotics, a Mossy's undeniably nutritious, refined, cultured sensation bolsters your health and awakens your passion for dairy. A Mossy's so good, and you need to try it. Contact your Youngevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Free Talk Live.
People, they like to complain about the idea that the money is taxpayer dollars. It's not really true, is it? I mean, they were your dollars until you gave them to the government.
Right.
Now they're their dollars, and they're going to do whatever the hell they damn well want to do with them.
You're right.
It is still your money in that if a thief comes and steals money from you,
it doesn't cease to be yours just because they stole it.
You still have a claim on that, but you don't have the ability to control the thief unless you actually have him in your custody. So that thief is going to go out and buy a big screen TV or do whatever, spend it on coke and whores or whatever it is that thieves do with the money that they steal. And
that's what the politicians do with it.
Yeah, you can call the thief on the phone and say, "I told you not to spend that money on whores," and he's going to say, "Well, thanks for the input." Noted.
I appreciate that.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE and bring up anything you want to discuss. Though most people have been discussing the situation with the police, variety of aspects of the police state to the people who've been fighting against the police. Several police have been shot to death over the last couple of days here in the United States. Some people are very gleeful about that. Others are pointing out that violence isn't going to solve the problem of violence, and I tend to agree with the latter group. I think peace is the solution. Unfortunately, I can understand why people are choosing violence. They're frustrated. They feel backed into a corner. They feel like there is no hope. There is no accountability. That even when you show video, which is the best way, in my opinion, to hold the police accountable, is to record video of it. Even when you get video of police abuse, in a lot of those cases, the police still get let off. They still don't face any kind of personal consequence or charges or criminal charges or anything like that, even in some of the most egregious video that has been recorded of police abuse. So I get the frustration. There's got to be a better way. And, of course, federalizing the police is not the better way, which is one of the proposals coming, of course, from the federal government and the president's task force on looking into matters of policing. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE, allows you to join us, 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. Let's go back to the phones, to the fun. Barry is listening in Columbus, Ohio. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hey, Barry.
How you doing?
Hey, great. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I just hope that they'll realize that we need to come together, because this police stuff been going on too long. And it hasn't changed anything, but a lot of hate back and forth. So the people are going to have to come together. And it ain't about, whether you consider yourself a redneck or in the hood. It's about people coming together.
What's that going to look like?
What should they do when they come together?
Well, you know what? Because the more people know each other, the better off they are,
Yeah,
okay.
I agree with you, 100%.
Maybe we need to have a reality show. Maybe Donald Trump will put that on after he loses the presidency. have a swipe show where somebody lives in the hood, goes to the rural area, and go stay there for a while so they can share each other's experiences. Yeah, flip-flop, and they can share each other's experiences. And they say, well, you know what? We're almost the same. We both living in poverty. We're both not making enough money, so they'll see that there's a lot of differences. I mean, there's a lot of things that are more the same than it is differences.
I agree.
So I think people should realize that if we allow these rich cats, whether they're Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, to get us caught up in the mess, because they're going to stay rich. And we're still going to be fighting for minimum wage increase. So I think it's time for people, to realize that this thing is bigger than this. It ain't about the politicians. It's about us, the people in America, whether you low income or you middle income or whatever, surviving to make it best for your family and yourself. So that's what we have to do as a people, come together.
Good suggestions,
I like that, Barry.
I appreciate where you're coming from here tonight. Thanks for the call. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
We need an internal student exchange program.
Internal student exchange, meaning
rather than a foreign student exchange.
Yeah, okay.
Domestic student exchange.
Okay, well, let's talk about what Barry's idea is a little bit further here, and then we'll continue with your calls and thoughts. Yeah, people are more similar than they are different, and one of the things that that exaggerates the differences between people is the government, because the government wants you
and
to
the news.
Well, yeah, the news plays into it. The government wants you to believe that other people are different from you, not just the people down the street or on the other side of town or in the bad side of town, not just the people in the other part of the state or the country, but also people around the world. They want you to believe that they're different and inferior to you, or that they need to be controlled, or that they're trying to control you. Or they're a threat to you, so therefore you need to get them before they get you, and so on and so forth. So the government wants to pit groups against one another. The government wants to pit Americans against the people in Afghanistan. The government wants to pit blacks against whites. The government wants to pit gays against Christians. The government, you can pick these different groups. As long as you're fighting each other, then you won't realize who the real problem is. The real threat to your freedoms aren't those other people in that group over there. It's the people calling themselves the state. That's the group of people who divides others. They're the ones who control everything. They control the money. They control the power. They control your business, whether you live or die. They control your life. They can put you in a cage if they decide they don't like your politics. They don't like something that you're doing. You're threatening the status quo. You'll go away, just like Martin Luther King was made to go away. So the people in the state are the big threat to all of our freedoms. And if we could put aside those differences, as he was talking about there, then maybe we'd have a chance of seeing that crystal clear. And, of course, the police are the enforcement arm of the state. They're not the only part that's the problem. They're not the only problem. The police are
just normal folks.
The police are just doing their jobs, which is to enforce these stupid, bad, racist in a lot of cases laws that are put on the books by state representatives and U.S. representatives and the government guys. So that, I think, is a big that's a big project to inform people of what the state truly is. Which is
I don't know if the laws are racist. They may be divisive. I think it's
some of them are pretty racist. At the very least, you could argue that they were racist by their formation, like, for instance, marijuana prohibition, which absolutely, they were using the fear that black men will have sex with your white daughters.
They certainly mentioned Hispanics, too.
Yeah. So, that was absolutely a racist law. And it certainly has come out in racist sorts of enforcement of that particular law as well. Not to say that white people don't get arrested for drug possession. They certainly do. But all of this, is a big project to inform people of their common humanity and how the government is standing in the way of bringing those people together. So we're part of that here on Free Talk Live and spreading the word of liberty. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, and you can also join us. So that's where we're going next. Let's talk to Scott in Indiana, listening to WIBC. Hello, Scott.
Hi, Ian.
Hey there.
Talk again.
Thanks.
I just wanted to bring in some numbers, and you did mention something that is true. There is some division going on here, and it's not just the government doing it. I would say the media is complicit, whether it is for sheerly cynical means, goals where they just want to draw page views by stirring up controversy, or because they tend to have a bias. And what they're largely part of this is the lack of reporting of the full data. Now, you had a caller earlier, and he had a point. He's like, well, more black people are killed proportionally to white people by population. But that, to just throw those numbers out, does not tell the full story. And that is the number of, unfortunately, and this will probably get me branded as a racist, but the numbers don't lie. They're right there. The number of offenses, particularly violent offenses in the black community, which unfortunately are very high. And it should be mentioned, and this is true also, unpleasant as it may be, that black people enormously more often die at the hands of other black people. And in fact, criminals tend to prey upon those within the racial community much more so than across racial communities. And part of this is the police are in these communities because they're trying to stop black people from killing other black people largely. And when that happens, there are going to be more confrontation.
Well, I think that there's so I've got a couple of thoughts on this. I got you, and what you've said, these are true statements, right? So I'm not going to brand you a racist or anything like that. But I gotta say that it probably doesn't look good to these black communities when white people come in wearing badges telling them what to do. Maybe if you have a largely black municipality, you should hire from that municipality, I don't know, a largely black police department. I mean, doesn't that make sense? How would you feel if I don't know where you live, but say you're in a municipality that is largely white and your whole police department's black? It'd be a little weird. I think that's a solution.
Well, hold on here, Mark. I mean, that sounds like affirmative action and all that. And it's sort of
hire from your community to protect yourself?
Well, hold on. How many people are, number one, how many are actually going to want to hire from that community? I mean, after all, how many times do you see black police being called Uncle Toms by other black people?
It's hard to recruit police all across the United States. Scott, thanks for the call tonight. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. We'll try to get you in here coming up.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
My name is Jay. I'm 26 years of age, and I just want to thank the makers of the One World Whey protein powder. After having chronic abdominal pain and pressure for months, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. The medical doctor told me there was nothing I could do to treat it other than taking pain and nausea medication. Then I came across an ad for One World Whey on the radio and read the claims that it can help with all types of inflammation. I took the One World Whey protein powder every day for a month, and the chronic pain and pressure sensations went away completely. And I never took the pain or nausea meds. To this day, my intestines are free of pain.
Nature is kind. When we consume foods we're designed to eat, then she gives back health when it was once lost. One World Whey consistently supports the body's production of glutathione and overall repair. Glutathione stops inflammation, removes heavy metals, and toxins of all kind. When inflammation is gone, the body can complete its healing process. Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld, WHEY.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us toll free here, 855-450-FREE. We'll try to sneak your call in. If you're already on the line, you've got a chance of getting on tonight. If you don't get in with us tonight, though, you can always call tomorrow night for our live Sunday edition. Mark, you're taking the night off because you're going to be emceeing an event for the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance.
That's right. I do it every year, the Liberty Dinner, where they hand out the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance's Liberty Rep Awards. And, we find out who got A's, who got A+, and we find out who got the F's and who got the constitutional threats.
Yep, because that's something that happens here.
They won't be there.
Highly doubtful. We've actually got Liberty people that have moved to New Hampshire and have gotten active, and they created the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance that does grade all of the state representatives here in New Hampshire. It's a huge undertaking every single year. So kudos to all those people who volunteer for that process, because I know it's a lot of them. And if you want to help them out, you can always go to nhliberty.org and learn more about the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance there. It's a great group. Even if you're not in New Hampshire, if you're a libertarian, if you're a voluntarist, you want to help out one of the most effective groups making changes for more freedom, that's the group to assist. nhliberty.org. They do some really great work. So we'll have, I think, Cody O'Connor from Off the Air Live and Bud joining us tomorrow night for the live Sunday edition, because we continue on with live shows no matter which host is here. We're always here taking your phone calls and your Skypes. Skype username is LRN.FM. Hey, if you like what we're doing on Free Talk Live, please get behind the show for $5 a month via the Free Talk Live AMP program. You'd go to amp.freetalklive.com. You can use any major credit card through PayPal or use Visa or MasterCard right there on the website. And your $5 a month does a huge amount for us. I mean, there's a lot of liberty organizations out there with multi-million-dollar budgets. Yeah, we are
not this one.
Yeah, we're getting $3,000 a month from the AMP program, and that's money that we invest into Free Talk Live that helps us get on new radio stations, bring new internet listeners on board, expose new people to the ideas of freedom. If you value what we do, please get behind us for the price of a fancy cup of coffee every month, and you get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, as well as the AMP-only podcast. So get all the details, get signed up, amp.freetalklive.com. To the phones and the fun. Sean's in Newport Richey, Florida. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sean.
Hey there. Hey, thanks a lot for taking my call.
Sure.
I want to pose maybe a question and maybe a hypothesis.
Okay.
In regards to all the good shootings or justified shootings and the non-justified shootings, because first of all, let's face it, we have to have police. I mean, basically, they're there to protect the people that can't protect themselves, and the rest of us will just use Smith & Wesson to protect ourselves. But is it possible that the vast number of the bad shootings, that there might be some sort of a commonality, a thread, that maybe the experience level of what they had before becoming a police officer and going into the police academy just as insufficient? Is it possible that those guys were just basically the bullies that couldn't get another job? Or is it possible that it's someone that didn't feel very strong, but they figure, I'll become a cop and I can boss people around, do whatever I want? Or maybe they have a level of fear within them and the reactions just aren't right, or just some sort of abuse of power.
There's been a lot of people hired. So Nixon began the war on drugs. Reagan expanded it with the Say No to Drugs campaign. Clinton then expanded it too. And in this case, money keeps going down to departments to hire more people. I can't tell you what it was like prior to Nixon's expansion of the war on drugs as far as police officers goes. But what makes sense is if you increase the supply, you're going to have more of these bad apples. I wouldn't think for a second that every police officer is a bully or everyone was picked on or every one of this or that. But certainly there are if you make positions of power, people that want to abuse power are going to be attracted to those positions. Now, that doesn't mean every one of them, but the question is, how do departments handle that? Because I don't hear a lot about police officers being fired in the marketplace. Back before there was a problem.
There was that cop that was fired for wearing his boxer briefs as he was
mowing his lawn, which was strange. But you just don't get a lot of news stories that way. You should fire your worst performing 10% from any job so that they can go and work at a different job and be good at it.
The police unions protect the worst 10% as well. So, Sean, there's an interesting story that kind of happened to us here on Free Talk Live. One of our listeners was a police trainer, and we met him in real life. He's the real deal. He's not just some guy who just called the show to tell a story. He's real, and he told us that he had decided he was going to leave the profession. He was out of frustration because he'd seen the quality of police recruits decline over the decades that he's been doing the recruiting and training. Actually, he was a trainer for police departments. So he saw the quality declining to the point where he told us that toward the very end of his career that it was like maybe 1 out of 10 of the potential recruits were actually the quality kind of person that he thought should be a police officer, and the rest of them, a lot of them were these badge heavies. That's slang term for people that want to wield power over peaceful people and be violent thugs, basically. Right. So there's definitely something going on where these bad people are absolutely attracted to policing, and then, if there are good cops left, they're too afraid of the bad cops to actually do anything and speak out and hold these bad cops accountable. It's a tragic situation. And before I let you go, I got to
basically outnumbered.
Yeah, well, I've got a technical question for you. You're listening on the radio in Newport Richey. It says to 98.3. Are we on pirate radio in Newport Richey?
No. 98.3. I'm actually driving between Miami and Newport Richey, and I was in basically between Fort Myers and Sarasota when I started listening to your station.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're listening to WSRQ. Excellent. Great station in Sarasota. I appreciate your call tonight, man. Thanks. Drive safe. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. It's actually one of the stations we got our start on.
I'm just glad to hear you didn't run over an alligator on Alligator Alley.
855-450-3733. Your calls continuing with John in Lynchburg, Virginia, listening to WLNI. Hello, John.
Good evening, guys.
Welcome.
First, I want to say that generally, when I generalize about a certain group of people, I realize really soon that I meet a really nice person. If I generalize negatively, I meet a really nice person, and I realize that's just people. But I want to say that nationally, I hear often someone saying they're racially profiling, they're pulling me over because I'm black or I'm a young black man, and I'm thinking, what do you want them to pull over? I'm just going to give an example. Grandmothers who are Asian. I mean, let's think about who's actually doing generally. I know most people are fine, but who's doing the crimes?
Well, you don't just get to pull someone over because black people might, a young black male might be more likely to commit a crime than an Asian old female. That's not reasonable suspicion to pull somebody over.
Correct. That's true. There's more to it, though. At 12 o'clock at night, I don't see very many grandmothers driving. I do see a lot of young people generally. And if you go to crime areas, the high crime areas, statistically, generally, it happens to be blacks. Not always. And I know it's everybody. But if you go percentage-wise, you're not going to pull over grandmothers or grandfathers generally. So percentage-wise, you're going to pull over young people who are male, who are, for example, are not Japanese, percentage-wise. I'm not.
But you need to have a reason to pull them over.
You're familiar with the 1,000-year-old tradition in common law of probable cause, right?
I'm not a police person, so I'm sorry.
No, let me tell you, you need a charge to pull somebody over, and it shouldn't be a crappy one.
Cool, exactly. But again, who's in the vehicle? Is it the grandmothers? Percentage-wise, at that time.
You're repeating yourself, but thank you for the call tonight, John. I get your point. Let's continue. We've got Larry in Tallahassee listening to WVFT. Hello, Larry.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Is this a free speech zone?
Well, you can't say the F word or a couple other words, but for the most part, you can say what you want.
You can interact. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about firing police. I think a lot of them down here had their lunch money stolen from them on the school bus, and they think putting on the uniform is going to get even somehow. But what I wanted to say is that you talked about them getting fired, and what happened in Maryland, that guy broke his own back. All these policemen have been exonerated.
Yeah, you're talking about Freddie Gray.
Yeah. But whenever they usurp the power to punish, or the use of legitimate violence is what I call it, is their that's if they do that and feel that legitimate violence is their occupational prerogative and monopoly, that's where we get into this thing about violence.
Well, and they know they're untouchable. Not only is it that part of their job, but it's also something that
and those that suffer are most often the poor, the ignorant, the friendless, and so no one complains except the ACLU.
Yep.
But this gratuitous
and there's too many cases. There's too many cases for the ACLU to take. I wish we had more time, but we don't. Larry, thanks for the call tonight. There's so many people who are taken advantage of. If every one of them called the ACLU would say, I'm sorry, we understand this is a tough case, but we just don't have the manpower for this. So, yeah, he's absolutely right. They pick on the poor and the defenseless and the people who don't know their rights and the young people and the uneducated. We'll see you tomorrow night online in the meantime. If you want to learn more about your rights, visit copblock.org. We'll see you. freetalklive.com. I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe, defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of